Hey everyone, Sean from qwerty Comics. Thanks for stopping by. So I was tagged in a video from my friend Michael from Longbox Love Affair to show some of our top 10 books that are first appearances. And so I wanted to kind of pull all that together and show you some of my top 10 maybe top 10 or my top first appearance books that I can currently grab. So these are books probably that are going to be heavy in the X-Men universe, and there's still definitely room for books that I would love to grab down the line, but I wanted to just kind of show you some of the books that I've always been super excited, or I was super excited to finally get my hands on. And I wanted to kind of just show you all that. So before we get started, feel free to give a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe for future content, and I need to dig a little more to figure out who I want to recommend, but I will bump down some names down below of some of my subscribers to kind of pass it along and see if any of them will do it as well. So without further ado, let's jump into my 10 books, in no order of 10 to 1, but I wanted to just at least show you all the books I love. So the first one is X-Men number 4 from 1964. So here's our Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. We got our Scarlet Witch, our Quicksilver, Toad, and it's the second appearance of Magneto. But I wanted to just kind of, this is a great book that I've always wanted. I've always loved this cover. I think it's like a very beautifully designed cover. Yes, this is a low grade book, but at the same time, I was so happy to get this. And it could maybe be pressed on the line, but it's just so low grade that it's probably not worth it. It won't do much to it, but I'm super excited to get this part of my collection. Grabbed it recently if you've seen a previous video of mine. So another one actually I grabbed last year was X-Men 12 from 1965, which is the first Juggernaut. I've been hunting this book for years and I've just never seen it. Mind you, I've never seen it raw, and so I've always seen it slabbed, and I finally just picked it up at a con for a good competitive price. You know, paid what I was willing to spend after doing some research on it. So super excited to grab that one. I think this cover, I love the red, and I love how he's bursting out there and everyone is kind of jumping off, as well as being a great first appearance. The other one was Polaris. I did want to show that, X-Men 50 cover, but that's not her first appearance. But I do love this cover as well. And so we have that first appearance of Polaris. And I did grab this last year as well, too. So I paid a pretty penny. And I believe I paid fair market for this at the time raw, and I was super happy with this grade. So to pair with Polaris is Havoc. So this is the first Havoc in costume, but I have always loved this cover. I was a little sad that the book got the grade it did, but this was like earlier in my grading years. The cover has some tanning, but it was hard to compare against another book that you didn't know had tanning. But I was so happy to see this. I picked it up raw at a shop in Seattle, and I think, based on what it's worth now, it's definitely has gone up based on what I paid originally, but this was a wonderful pickup. I do love the cover, how, it's this larger one and the team's in the middle. So I love all these older covers so much. This is probably up there with my all-time top books, but Giant Size X-Men number 1 from 1975. So if all of you know, big Storm fan, and I just picked this up before everything blew up, and I paid maybe, I think it was like $1,500 for this, graded, and it's worth more than that now. But I'm super excited about getting this in my collection. Always wanted this book so much, and I just finally saved up money and bit the bullet and picked it up. And I do love showing the book to friends when I do have it. I'm like, look how many first appearances are on this book. It's so great. The next one I have 2 copies, which is exciting. So this was my first book to ever get graded through CGC, which is the first new team of X-Men, so following that giant size X-Men, so X-Men 94. So I picked this up at a con. I paid like $175 for it. It's well worth over that now, so awesome deal, I feel, now that I have it. This was sort of like, I can't afford giant size X-Men, so I'm gonna get this one, and then I eventually got giant size X-Men. So super excited about that. But the second one I got is even better conditions, an 8.5. So this one I paid I think $400 just for the raw copy, which was pretty petty then. And I did get it sent out to get graded. The book was in just great condition from the guy that had it before, and so I was very happy to pay that premium for it, and to have it added to my own personal collection. The next one, I do have 2 copies. The other one is on a wall, and it's a 7. That was a newbie buying mistake, but it's X-Men 101, so First Phoenix. I've loved this cover for so long. I think it's such an amazing cover. And the first one I bought, I was like, oh my god, this has got to be like a 9.4, 9.6, so sharp edges, everything. But had water staining all the way through, and I paid a lot for it. And for what it's graded at now, I think it's like at equal value. But it was such a newbie mistake, thinking like, oh, just a couple of ripples in the page would mean nothing. But no, if staining goes through the whole book, you get hit hard. So this was sort of my I'm going to pick this one up. It's in nice condition. I paid half as much as the other one, but still made out better. Though the 7.0 actually presents better. The cover is more vibrant, and it just looks better. It just has that staining in it. But I'm super happy to have 2 copies of it. The other one's on my wall in a UV safe box, away from direct sunlight. And the other one is just this character. I always loved how they portrayed this character, and I feel like it was a great storyline with the Claremont run of including a character that kind of was like the young character that came in, and they brought the character to life and just worked with the team, and it was Kitty Pryde. So I think Kitty Pryde was a great addition to this team, and just to have her help the team feel, I feel like she was always a good catalyst, but always this young character. But I always loved how she pushed buttons on everything. Sometimes made inappropriate, not totally acceptable word usage here and there, but I always really enjoyed her power and her ability. It just was an interesting ability. I always liked how her story and her character has developed over the ages. So that's just it for grading books. The next one are just books that I always really wanted. They're villains, and they are going to go out to get graded. And I'm trying to remember how many copies of this book I have right now, but it's Ms. Marvel 18. So we have our first appearance of Mystique. I've always loved Mystique as a villain. I love this idea of shapeshifter and just her character in general, and how it has pieced together, and her story in general is very fascinating too. So I was super excited to get this to add it to my collection. I actually really enjoy a lot of the covers on this Ms. Marvel run, and so I had picked up a couple of her first cameos and all that other stuff, and I'm really excited to piece them all together once I send them out to be graded. And the last book, I always wanted it. I think the villain is an interesting character, is a messed up character. But I've always seen this cover from far and never could afford it. I was in a position last year where I could, so I picked it up. And it's Iron Fist 14, so we have our first Sabretooth. And so super excited to pick that up. I think Sabretooth is a really messed up character that is an interesting addition to the whole mutant run, and I'm kind of curious to see how they play and use maybe Sabretooth and Mystique in the future, or even Juggernaut. It's very interesting how these villains develop in certain ways, and then how they either exist or don't exist now. But super excited to have all these X-Men characters in my run. There's definitely other keys that I want to grab down the line. You know, I definitely would love to get X-Men 1. I did pass up on I think it was a 2.5 for like $8,000. And I was working with my friend Michael on getting it, and I passed on it. And then like 2 weeks later, it was like 26,000, and I was just like, so I think a lot of it was just how to move the money around and how to spend the money. And then I somehow thought maybe it'll come down at some point, and it's obviously not coming down. So I'm just waiting for the day that I can somehow come across it. So soon. That would be my like ultimate, you know, number one. I'm only actually missing 3 issues out of that whole Uncanny run. And so it's 1, 2, and 3. And so I'm just waiting for the day for them to pass on through. But let me know what you think. Would you, if you had this collection, would you pull those X-Men? If you had the whole X-Men collection besides issue 1, what else would you have pulled? Let me know down below. And thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you all soon. See ya.